Hi, this is Dave and welcome to The Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games, looking at them from a family perspective. Today we're going to be taking a look at Rumplebum Academy for Bug-Based Baking from Poorly Designed Studios. Now this is a 2 to 4 player set collection game where you are a student of Cordelia Rumplebum at her academy, and you are going to have to go through the forest collecting ingredients to make some tasty dishes. Now along the way you're going to want to try to enlist the help of the princess of the land, all while avoiding the knight, who can cause a lot of trouble for you. So let's take a look at this game and how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, let's take a look at the components that come in the Rumplebum Academy for Bug-Based Baking. And the game comes in a tuck box, so it's very portable for you to take around. Next, we have an instruction sheet that comes with the game, and it's two-sided, explains exactly how to play this game. And next, let's get to the cards that are in here. And if you notice here, there's 4 different piles here. First of all, we have Cordelia Rumplebum herself, and this is the chef card. And this is going to be used to determine who the first player is. Next, there are these recipe cards, and there's novice and advanced. And you can see here that there are different requirements to make some of these great tasty dishes like catch fly pie or the gritty grub tart. And this will explain to you what you need in order to collect these, and then also how many points they're worth. So there's a novice deck here, and there is an advanced deck here that has a little bit more ingredient requirements here, and they are also worth more points. And again, we've got some more tasty things like the larval lemon bars or spider doodle. Finally, we have this deck of cards here that there's a bunch of rocks that are on one side, and they're going to be set up to make it look like you're going through the forest looking for things. And on the other side, we're going to have some of these lovely insects that we're going to have to add to the game. So we'll have beetles and fire ants and spiders and earwigs and centipedes and all sorts of good stuff here. And they also have different types, like we've got some juicy ones or savory ones, or we've got some crunchy ones in here. Here we go. Here's a crunchy earwig. And also in this deck, there's going to be a knight and the princess. And these have a couple different abilities that can be used during the game, and I'll explain those to you a little bit later on. But anyways, that's what comes with the game. Let me get it set up for you, and I will show you how to play. Okay, I've got this game set up for 2 players, and let me show you what I did real quick. First of all, I shuffled all of the rock cards here, and I dealt 2 to each player, and I have them face down. Here, you can look at them, but you want to keep them hidden from your other opponents. So, for example, here we happen to have a couple of beetles here to start off with. We have one that's a crunchy and one that's a savory, and if you have them in your hand and you look here, there is an insect icon here, and then there's either a C or an S, and those are going to tell you this is a crunchy, this is a savory. So when you have them in your hand, you can quickly identify what they are. The other player here happens to have a savory earwig and a juicy beetle to start off with. So that's what we're starting off with. Next we have these recipe cards here that have been dealt 2 to each player face up. They're novice recipes to start. And let me quickly explain to you what those look like here. For example, we have this gritty grub tart. And on this card, it's going to have a lot of information for you. Number 1, it's going to be what the ingredients are that are required. And then there's how many points. And then there's this cooking tip, which is just some flavor text down at the bottom. So this is going to tell me that we need 1 beetle and 1 earwig. And we have to have 1 type that is crunchy, but it says no centipedes. So we can't have any centipedes in this recipe. Okay, but this crunchy could be any other insect other than a centipede, but it has to be a crunchy type. And then if you notice down at the bottom, it says here, cooking tips, traditional style, don't wash the bugs before mixing into the dough. So you want a little dirt in there. Okay, next, with the rock cards, I placed them in a grid face down, 3 by 4 grid here. And the rest of them are stacked in a reserve here. I took the rest of the novice cards here. They were shuffled up before, and they're placed face down here, as well as the advanced recipe cards here. Now, the advanced recipes are worth more points, and they have more ingredients. Now, each of these turns are called classes, and each class has 3 specific phases that the game is going to be played in. It's going to be flip, draw, and bake. So what we'll do here is on the first turn, or the first phase will be the flip phase. Now before we get started here, the youngest player will be given this chef card to start off with, and this will move around, and this is basically the first player marker. And so starting with the chef on the flip phase, they are going to flip and reveal one card face up for everybody to see. And then we'll be able to take note of what we have here. So this happens to be a savory spider. So this player over here needs to have a spider in their recipe, so they may want to make note of where that card is. So everybody's going to look at it. It's going to flip over. Next, the player is going to, the next player will reveal another card, and they will look at it here. And it's a juicy earwig. Lots of earwigs are required here, so the players are going to want to be looking at that. Okay, and each player will in turn do that. Now this is going to go on twice in this round. So once it goes around once, now we're back to this first player, and they're going to flip over a card. And they're going to flip this one here. Oh, great. Okay, this knight shows up here. Now during the flip phase, if the knight shows up, you have to deal with him because he's going to try and come after you. Okay, so there's 3 ways to deal with him. If you happen to have had a princess in your hand, you could discard the princess, and she would distract the knight, and he would leave, and he would leave you alone. Okay, so that's one way to deal with the knight. The other thing is you could try to fight him off by throwing rocks at him. So what you would have to do is you'd have to discard 2 rocks, which are also your ingredients, and you throw them at the knight, and you make him run away. Or the third way you can deal with him is to not fight him, and he will come into your scoring area, and he will be worth a -2 points when it comes to scoring at the end of the game. At this point here, I don't really want to waste my ingredients, so he's going to end up just coming right into my scoring area right away. Okay, now back to the second player. They're going to flip a card and reveal here. They'll flip over this one. And now we find the princess. Now the princess, she can be used to distract the knight, or she can be used as a wild card to satisfy any type of ingredient in a recipe. Okay, so everybody's seen that. Now this card will flip over. That's the end of the flip phase. Now on the draw phase, each player, this is going to go around twice, will have an opportunity to do one of 2 things. They will either be able to draw a card from here or draw a recipe card. Now, when we come to the recipe cards, we can only have a maximum of 3 unfinished recipe cards in play in front of us. So right now in the beginning of the game, we're probably going to want to focus more on ingredients. Now the first player here, starting with the chef, they'll draw. Well, they know that there's a good card that's out here. They're going to take this princess and they will put it into their hand. Now they're not going to show anybody what that is, but that's what they're going to draw. Next one here, they're going to know that they need a spider, so they're probably going to draw that card there. And then the second go around, they'll draw a card here. Maybe this one's going to draw a card, and maybe this one here wants to draw an advanced recipe card here. They want to live a little bit, and they want to try and gain some points early on. And again, this is going to tell you what ingredients you're going to need, but there's more of them. And this will be placed face up in front of their playing area. Okay, so that is the draw phase. Now, on the bake phase, starting with the chef, they have 2 options. They can declare either they're going to bake or they are going to pass. So if they choose to bake, what they will need to do is they will lay down their ingredients to complete a recipe. At that time, any player that had chosen to pass may play one of these knight cards here. And if the knight shows up, you have to play a princess card to distract him. Otherwise, if you do not do that, he is going to essentially chase you away, and you're going to lose all of your ingredients during that turn. Now, if a person had chosen to play a knight and pass, they are not eligible to bake on that turn. So you have some choices to make during the bake phase of the class. So at the end of that particular class, then what's going to happen is all of these cards will now be filled back in. And we will again continue on with those different phases of the game. Now, if we had gone around here, let me just show you what this will go on here. We'll just go around and do this turn one more time. So they're going to do a flip here. Let's flip this one over. Okay, we've got a savory centipede. Everybody sees that. We'll flip this one over here. We've got a juicy centipede. Flip this one here. There's a savory earwig. And let's look at this one here. And we have a juicy centipede. So lots of centipedes out there. If we look at our cards at what we need here, we have an earwig, we have some beetles and stuff like that. I think we're going to take this one here. Oh, okay. Now we can draw this knight into our hand and we can use him later on. He's not going to affect us during the draw phase. Okay. Next, this player here is going to go ahead and draw one of these cards here, the centipede. And we'll draw this one here, put this into our hand. And this one over here we'll draw into their hand. And let's see if we can make any recipes here, which we're not able to quite yet. Oh, maybe we can. Yes, we can. Okay, so this player here is going to choose to pass, and this player is going to choose to bake. Now, on their turn, they will choose to bake, and what they will do is they will lay down their recipes. So we have a beetle, we have a spider, and we have a juicy here. Okay, so if I had done that, I have the opportunity now to play the knight. If I play the knight down, if they don't have a princess, they're going to have to discard all of their ingredients. But we don't want them to know that we have a knight quite yet. So these will go into the discard pile, and they will in turn score 3 points. And that's how that baking phase works. And so this is going to continue on until we have either 15 points scored or 5 recipes completed. And that is Rumplebum's Academy for Bug-Based Baking. Okay, let's talk about Rumplebum Academy here. And let me start off with the artwork for this game. And the artwork is very, very bright. It's very, very colorful and very has like a nice playful aspect to it in terms of the color, and then also the type of insects that are drawn out. And they do kind of give it that creepy crawly feel, but it's not scary because you have stuff like centipedes and earwigs and beetles, and this kind of like just nasty bugs. But if you're a troll, they're tasty. Okay, so the artwork on the cards is really, really nice. The princess, she's very, very bright, and then the knight has kind of like a stern look, but he's not too mean. Okay, so that's with the cards. There are a few mechanics in this game that over the course of the game, it just makes it very, very unique in how it plays. First of all, the different phases of the class, you have a memory aspect of the game to start off with when you look at the flip phase. And so you're kind of looking at things, seeing where they're at, but you do kind of have that risk of almost uncovering a trap when you hit the knight. So you have to be prepared that that is one risk that that you're going to take. And then also, the other thing is you're revealing cards. Everybody is going to see what they are. And so you kind of hope that if you're the first player that you reveal the princess so you can grab her before somebody else can. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely on the draw phase to hopefully pick one up. So you have that memory phase there, and then during the draw phase, you have two different choices, and that's going to be how you're going to manage your hand. Are you going to look for more ingredients, or are you going to draw a recipe card? So you have a couple of choices to make there. So you have that aspect of that part of the game. And then finally, in the bake phase, you have two choices to make. Are you going to bake? If you meet the requirements to play the ingredients, because you can't choose to bake if you don't have the ingredients, or are you going to pass and then potentially use a knight card in there to kind of upset another player and thwart their plans? So you have that little bit of aspect of take that there, and then again, it's going to be hand management and how you're going to try to choose to use your ingredients and how quickly you want to acquire points. So you have, there's a lot going on with this particular game, different types of things that are going on. And the game is broken up into phases, so it's not too much for somebody to take in. But this game does, like I said, it has several different elements that are going on, and when you put them together, makes for a very, very enjoyable game. I think there's been a lot of creativity in some of the recipes and the names of the dishes that are on there, and then also the specific requirements of, okay, well, you need to have something that's crunchy, but you can't use a centipede. So if you have a bunch of crunchy centipedes in your hand, you're going to have to wait to use them for another recipe if it's something that you're working on, or if it's not something that you have, you can potentially use those to throw at if a knight shows up, you can throw them at them. So you can kind of get rid of a couple of cards in your hand. Now, one thing that I failed to mention in the gameplay is that you can only have a maximum of 8 cards in your hand. So when you have, that's a good way to thin out your hand, is if there's stuff that you're not looking for, to use them to throw them at a knight if he shows up. So you have some strategy there. Now, looking at this game from a family perspective, there's a few different things here that make for not only enjoyment but some good tools here, and that's you have the memory aspect of this game. So you're looking at cards, you're going to be able to have to remember where something is at, and then be able to recall that information later on. So you're looking at a card that's been revealed, and if you're playing with 4 players, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on. So you're going to have to pay attention to where things are at. So it's going to be very, very good at memory development, looking at things and remembering where they're at. You know, during the gameplay, I had flipped over a card, and I forgot which one that I looked at. And then when I went to draw the card, I ended up I drew a knight instead of, I was looking for something else. So I got lucky that I got the knight that I could use him, but I was looking for something else. So you definitely do have to pay attention and use your memory. And then the other thing is going to be your decision-making skills on this are going to be enhanced, and as well as recognition of specific icons. Because if you look at the recipe cards, they'll have the information that's on there, and you're going to have to match them up with your card type. So there's going to be some pattern recognition there. And then also how you're going to manage your hand is, are you going to choose to bake something, pass something, how you're going to manage your ingredients. So there's a lot of things that are in this game that can be useful as tools, as well as enjoyment. Now, looking at this game overall, I like this game because there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Now, yes, I am a parent, and this would be a game that I could also play with adults if I'm looking for a light filler game. So this is not, even though it's got a lot of kidsy art, it's not specifically a kids game. This is a game for everybody. Specifically, though, you could play this with the family. Okay, this is more of a family type game, but this can be used as a light, fun filler at a game night. So just because it has a silly name like Rumplebum Academy for Bug-Based Baking, and it's got a lot of little insects and there's a princess in there, don't discount this as a kids game, because there's a lot more to it going on, and I think that adults could enjoy this as well. So anyways, that is Rumplebum Academy for Bug-Based Baking, and if you would like to get a copy of it and you would like to add it to your library and enjoy baking up a bunch of tasty bug-based dishes, then you can go ahead and click on the link in the video information below, and it will take you to where you can order a copy of the game. Okay, that's it for now, and join me again next time as we take a look at another game and we see how it makes it to the table.